live. What is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? Thank you guys for those who are here. Thank you for joining me for my weekly live stream. If you're new to my live stream, my name is James Jackson. I am a filmmaker and content creator out in the Philadelphia area. And I do a lot of reviews about cameras and gears because I love talking about cameras and gears. But I also like to talk about ways that we can all improve and level up in the film industry. So if you're here, thank you guys for joining. We got some interesting things. For those of you, even though NAB New York wrapped today, I went for the first day and got to check out some cool gears, some stuff that we didn't really get to see because it was over at IBC, but I got a chance to get my first hands look at these. One of them being the Canon C50, also the Fujifilm Eterna55. Got a chance to check that out. So I'm going to let you guys know what I was able to experience with them and checking them out and seeing them firsthand. And if you guys have questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer them. Now, I only had them for like a couple minutes because, again, it's a trade show, so they'll get like a lot of personal hands-on, but I was able to sort of really get a hand, sort of get the feels of them. I also talk about some of the lenses that I saw, which was the DZO Vespid 2s, the Arles from DZO, but also I know a few of you have brought up intrigue about the Hektors from Leitz. So I actually did get my hands on two of the Leitz lenses. So if you guys have questions about them, definitely leave them in the chat. Stews, how's it going? Okay, sound is a bit low. All right, let's fix that real quick. All right, we'll go right there. That should be fine. Let me know how this sounds, Stu. Let me know how this sounds right now. So hopefully this will be better. So, thank you guys again. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's not waste any time and let's sort of dive in. Probably wanted to go and talk about the cameras first that you guys have. So let's go into it. I actually have a couple clips that I wanted to bring and show you guys. So let me go over here. So I'm inside the DaVinci Resolve. Let's cut over to that. So I've got a couple things, a couple clips, and you'll see I did get my hands on the Canon EOS C50 and got a chance to hold it. I did try to record a little bit of it, but for some reason it just was not. I don't know why, but I wasn't able to record. Maybe it was just because it's a pre-production one. But it wasn't, even though I had an SD card and I put an SD card in, I was not able to actually go. But I did go dive into the menus. I did get a chance to see how it felt. So the number one takeaway that I will say about this camera is, the number one takeaway that I'll say about this camera is the fact that it is really nice in the hands. It feels really good. I had my Sony FX3 while I was capturing, and actually I think this shot is actually on the Sony FX3. It definitely feels lighter than the Sony FX3, and it has that Canon feel when you hold it. So for those of you that kind of understand the difference and kind of get what I mean, it's like if you're a Canon shooter, you know exactly what I mean. If you're a Sony shooter, you know how the Sonys kind of have that aluminium feel to them. They have a very tactile feel to them, whereas the Canons, they feel. I don't want to say. They feel like almost like a carbon fiber text feel to it, and that's kind of how this camera at least feels in the hands. The top handle is awesome, and the way it's designed, it feels like perfectly balanced when you actually hold it in your hands. The only thing for me that I kind of had to get used to was that there's not a dial on the front of the of the hand. It's the dial's on the top, which is a little weird placement. But outside of that, that's just being a little nitpicky. I also was able to ask a few things in terms of like the multi-aspect ratio recording options. What I discovered there was a few things that the reps were able to help me clear up. So if you don't, for those that are not aware, the Canon C50 allows you to record multiple aspect ratios at the same time. You can, as in a vertical and a horizontal, simultaneously. You'll record the vertical to the CF Express card. You'll record the vertical 9x16 to the SD card, and it's only in 1080. What I was able to confirm was that the vertical aspect ratio is captured from the 16:9 horizontal. It's not capturing the full height of the sensor. So it's a crop of the 16:9. It is not using the full sensor. Like, I think there was some that was given sort of that confusion. So, but it's a crop of the 16:9, not a crop of the full 3.2 sensor. However, the other thing I was able to get confirmation is that you are able to move that vertical. You can move that vertical aspect anywhere you want when you're recording, so it's not stuck in the center. Because I know there's been a few videos about that kind of suggest that that's the case, and that's not true. You can move it. You can move the vertical part all you want. The catch is that it only does that when you're not recording. As soon as you hit record, the placement of wherever that 9x16 aspect is locked. Which, if you were even interested in using this feature, I think this is a fine trade-off. It sucks that you can't use the full thing, but it's a fair trade-off, and it makes sense. You kind of don't want it where it can just basically, if someone touches the screen, the aspect ratio could hop to something that you didn't want. So totally makes sense that it's locked in. So that's I think that's the main things that I got from the in terms of the C50. And then I talk about this. It's really light, but it's really well balanced. Like, it doesn't feel like too much weight in the camera. So am I tricking on the Canon with the C50 or C80? Huh? I'm not exactly sure, King, what your question is. I was filming NAB on the Sony FX3. So I was using the Sony FX3 as well as the Osmo Pocket 3 as my secondary camera that I was using. In terms of trick-or-treating, I don't even know if my sister typically takes my daughter out trick-or-treating. I personally don't plan to go out at all. So if I do any sort of capturing, it will probably most likely be on the FX3, since that's the camera that I have. Doris said, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on?" And have I ever stopped at Yodobashi in Japan? No. No, though I did spend 2 years in Tokyo. For those of you that may not know, my family is military. My father was in the Army. So he got reposted quite a bit, and one of the last few stops was Japan, and he got stationed at Kanzama in Tokyo. So I did go to Kyoto. I got a chance to climb Mount Fuji. I was like 13 at the time. So I wasn't like someone who had cameras and was big on cameras. I didn't even know really what I would do with cameras at that time. Uh, but yeah, Japan was a great experience. So if you guys have questions about the Canon C50, again, it was mainly sort of like hands-on, sort of how it feels, any intrigue about that. I can able to answer that, and also because I know there's some rental houses around here that are going to get the C50 in, so I plan to try to just get a test out in the rental house. So if there is something that you are interested in that I don't know for sure, when they start circling and they come to the rental houses here, and I can do content on them, I'll definitely do my best to answer them. But let's move on to this guy, which is the Canon, not the Canon, I'm sorry. This is the Fujifilm GFX Eterna 55. And I'll go ahead and say, now that I actually got a chance to hold the camera, and I actually, Fujifilm was kind enough to like take it off the tripod, let me put it in my hands and sort of just gauge and go work around, sort of get my gauges and feels around the camera in my hands and actually holding the camera itself. First thing I noticed, it's a lot lighter than I had anticipated it to be. If I was to gauge the weights of it, and it was like a bare bones setup, like the camera with, let me see if I think I have a clip of it. It's somewhere here. This is sort of the bare bones setup that I got. It had a GFX lens, the body, the top handle, and the monitor, and then there was no battery on the back. But as most of y'all know, over here, right here, this top part is the battery compartment. So the top part is the battery compartment, and it had an internal battery. I would just say, sort of in this sort of bare bones style setup, this running gun style setup, I would say it's somewhere between the weight of a C400 and a Sony FX6. So maybe something like it. The weight reminded me a lot of the C200, and sort of that weight, in terms of how it's weighted out. But I will say the ergos of this camera is really well thought out. And just in terms of ergonomics and functionality, it's a really, really well thought out camera. So if I was to go back here, so this of course is very similar to the Big Six that you see on a lot of the higher end cinema cameras like the Vitis and the Alexa. Very similar. It's a very similar thing. So to give a little story. So when I first did this, I was like trying to see. I would turn on the NDs and I worked with the NDs, but I was like, okay, how do you operate it? So the rep was helping me explain it, and essentially the best way where it's literally just hit the button a few times and it'll engage the NDs, and then he was showing me that you can basically, once you have engaged it, there's a knob at the top that you basically control the NDs and do and basically control the electronic NDs, which it's a great way, especially if you're going to be sort of like having the top handle. It just has it like super easy access right there, so where if you want to make adjustments in these, you can adjust it right there without having to turn it to the side, maybe adjust the NDs like the FX6. Now, my first concern when I saw that was that because, by the way, the top handle is really well designed. Like when you lay your thumb, it falls right on the zoom rocker, and the record dial that's right next to it. It's really well done and really well designed. But I noticed that when I put it out, I was like, I could very easily hit this ND wheel. But of course, at the top part of the ND is of the wheel, there's a switch that you can turn whatever the function of it. If you flip it all the way down, it will disengage the wheel. So once you've got your settings in, you can lock it in, and then you can basically don't have to worry about it. And again, I do love the fact that there is a built-in battery. Again, it's not supposed to be your main primary battery, but it's there that if you need to do a hot swap, you can pull the V-mount batteries that you have, and then swap it, and then give you time. Or if you want to just maybe throw it on a gimbal, I think the battery life he said was like 35 minutes, so it's not long, but it's long enough that if you need to do a shot, you need to be very, very nimble and quick. You can get basically just on that internal battery if it's fully charged for like 35 minutes. Another thing that the rep did tell us is that they're only designing this camera for, in terms of power, it's only going to be compatible with V-mount batteries. So if you have gold mount batteries, you are going to have to get an adapter that will connect it to the back and use gold mounts that way. So that's something that you just have to keep in mind as well. But overall, I gotta say, I didn't get a chance to record anything with it, but I wish I had. But it was so crowded. It was actually very crowded. I think Blackmagic and Fujifilm were probably the most crowded vendors in terms of cameras, at least for the NAB show. So many people were looking to try out this camera and take a look at it. So I just wasn't able to get too much time with it. But I'll just say, just from a design standpoint, it's really well thought of, and shout out to Fujifilm for doing it. Awesome. So let's see if there's what kind of questions you guys may have. All right. So Demoris, I wanted to like the Eterna a lot, but for the price, there's some essential things missing in the price bracket. That it's at. I totally, and you know what, I totally understand that, man. Because I totally get it. It's obviously it doesn't have internal raw recording capabilities, which you got cameras that are significantly less than the price, which I think is $16,000. So I totally get it. And I forgot, I think there's some exposure tools that are kind of missing from it that I wish there was there as well. All I will say, so yeah, maybe these are things that Fujifilm can add in terms of firmware updates. We don't know. We shall see. I gotta say, when I saw it and when I got it chest my head, I was just like, man, where have we? Look how far we have come. Because I remember when we had cameras that just shot 4K 30, and they weren't full frame cameras; they were Super 35 cameras. But particularly, I'm talking about like the FS7 but more specifically the Canon C300 Mark II, where they were just having 4K and 4K 30, 10-bit 422, or something like the original C300, which was 1080, 10-bit 422, and that were $16,000. And now we're seeing a medium format camera that can shoot OpenGate, that is giving us a chance to record stuff in a medium format way. It is now, that's where the price range at. But I do agree with you, man, that there's some pieces that are missing. But there are some pieces missing, and I wish I have. Hopefully, they'll have it in the firmware update. Yeah, no, again, I didn't get a chance to. I'm not gonna give a full have a full on review, because I didn't even get a chance to record anything. But just what I was visually seeing off the camera, and just the way it's designed and laid out, it's a really intriguing camera. I'm really interested to see how people use it. Yeah. Oh, look. Yeah. Again, I think renting should be the way to go. Like, always try it before you buy it, and that's sort of the way I think you should go. Are they only going to have a monitor no EVF option? From what I understand, there's only going to be the monitor option for right now. But I'm given the fact that it has SDI and stuff. There's plenty of third parties, whether if it's from Confinity or what's the other? What's the other company? Um, it's like on the tip of my tongue, and I'm going to be so upset it's going to bother me forever. But yeah, like Confinity, I think even some of the Blackmagic cameras you can use via third party as well. But there's a lot of third parties that you can go through SDI options. So, but yeah, as far as I know, it's a very bright monitor. The rep I told me it's a 2000 nit brightness monitor, and it's a pretty big monitor. And actually, the only thing about the balance of the camera, you don't really see it here, but the only thing that throws off the balance of this camera is the fact that the monitor is actually quite big, and it's actually a bit heavy. When I mean bit heavy, like it's noticeable enough that the monitor throws the weight off. And I think it's like either a 4-inch or a 5-inch monitor. Couldn't remember, but it's a pretty big and it's a very bright monitor. Do I have any experience with the Fujinon Promistus of any focal range? I do not. Um, I think by that time I was kind of moving towards full frame, and the Fujinons, parfocals that I know of were only Super 35s, and then even if I was using Super 35s, I think I was more in the lower range, the lower zooms or the DZO Pictors. Oh, I think this is a great time to actually point this up. I got a little tip from one of the reps at DZO that they're going to start soon. They're going to soon discontinue the Pictors. So all I will say is just keep an eye out wherever it's at, because they're very likely maybe going on some clearance discounts soon. But they're going to get rid of. But I was told that the DZO Pictor zooms are going to be discontinued in the near future. So just something to guys to keep your head up. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, of course. Like I said, there's like it's crazy when you actually just going back when not when I started, but when I really took investing into gear seriously, which was I think my first serious investment was the Canon C100, the original Canon C100. But yeah, just thinking about what that camera was, which was a 1080 30p. You could do 60i, but it was like half of the frame, and it was weird. But going from a 1080 30 camera, which still I look back at some of those C100 shots I did, and it still kind of holds up to go into something like the C300 Mark II and on and on. But where we are now, it's crazy. The Pix Boom was not at the trade show. I guess this is a good time to also point out. I was like, NAB New York is a very interesting thing. So the one in Vegas has a really, really good balance between broadcast, creatives, and filmmakers slash cinema world. NAB New York is like 85-90% broadcast. So a lot of the vendors at the trade show here, outside of Blackmagic and Canon, and Fujifilm, most of the vendors are either light companies and a few light companies, but outside of that, NB&H, there's really everybody there's like I'm talking about full on broadcast. I'm talking like cloud services. I'm talking about TVs, live view equipments. I'm talking about AI. There's a lot of AI products there's a lot of AR products. There's a lot of cloud, a lot of IP, like a lot of IP products. So that's really where this trade show is mainly focused. But given the fact that Blackmagic is probably the biggest sponsor of the trade show, they typically get the biggest space, and Blackmagic always shows their entire thing there. Panasonic was there, but it's like Panasonic's, but again, it's like Panasonic's broadcast branch. So it's really a lot of PTZs and switchers and TV and monitors, TVs that are seen at the trade show. But so the Pixel Boom is not there. So yes, Zacuto. That was thank you, King. That's exactly the one I was thinking about. Is the Zacuto. Yeah. So yeah, Zacuto, Zcam, Kinfinity. I believe Blackmagic's can particularly the new EVF. If you have a Type C, it theoretically should work, but obviously I don't think a lot of people have a chance to try to work it out with third parties. But theoretically, the new Blackmagic EVF should work. So I think this is a good way to start segmenting into the lenses that I was able to take a look at. So yeah, so let's take a look at some of the lenses. So this was primarily at the B&H booth, and I got a chance to actually put them on and try out a few of these. So I got a chance to try out the DZO Vespid 2s and get a chance to hold those on for myself. And I will say, and you got to forget, because I was on like my monopod. And let me actually, let's turn the loop off for a second. So forgive me, I'm like on my monopod, so things may be a bit shaky. But I will say this. So this is the 50 millimeter of the Vespid 2s. And so I am. I think these the Vespid 2s are actually very, very good. They're very good, and there's some things that I like. I do like the fallout of the Vespids a little bit more. The Vespid, it has a nice, like, the fallout is this because it can open up to a T1.9, but the difference isn't that much. It's not that big. The main big difference with the Vespid 2s is the iCook technology, but I do enjoy the autofocus, but it seems like the main problem that I had with the Vespids, the original Vespids, is for a good amount of the sets, it's the same problem, which is that fact that, and the rep admitted to me that it's something that he has been told to as well, but it's the fact that the focus throw is not linear. And this is not a DZO problem. This is just typically any of the more affordable options has this same problem, which is the fact that when you're throwing the focus throw, like I'll give the DZO Vespid 40, the original one, because that's the one that I own and I've actually used. But the problem I've always had is that, so for like 50% of the focal throw, it's like from 1 foot to 2 foot. And then the final 50% is just the remaining going and right up to infinity, which doesn't leave the lens a lot of room to differentiate the depth that, quite frankly, is this area that I use the most. I know this, and I even told him, I'm like, I know this is a controversial, and some people say don't do this, but I really wish they even cut up, like, made the minimum focus distance a little bit farther away, like 1.5 feet, 2 feet of the minimum to be the minimum focus distance. At least that would give more to where typically where our subject would be, especially on a 40 millimeter lens. The difference, to be able to distinguish something like 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, the lens can differentiate those, which creates the perception of depth a lot easier, gives more three-dimensional space. But again, it's not a DZO problem. It's just a lot of manufacturers. I just wish they would stop doing that. And it seems to be the case for these lenses as well. So that is this is the case with the Vespids, and then this right here. Yep. So, and this right here is got a chance to try the Hektors, which are pretty dope. I gotta say, they're about, in terms of weight, they're about the same as the Vespid 2s. Maybe slightly heavier. And let me go ahead and go full screen. So, oops, come on. There we go. But let me pull back. But it's a really, really good design. I got a chance to try out the 100 millimeter and the 35 millimeter focal lengths. Really, really interesting designs. Again, apologies for the shakiness. Again, I haven't edited or chopped this up yet. So these are just like, I just literally just put a quick DRT on there and basically just put this together. So this is basically like pretty much almost untouched as much as CAD. But overall, I think these are, they're very beautiful design. The only complaint with the Hektors, the main complaint I have with the Hektors, the focal length is really, really smooth. Like buttery smooth. Which, if you're trying to handhold these, it tends to be very, very easy to knock, like either overshoot what your target is, or if you have your target and then you ding it and you hit it, it's easy to knock the focus off. So it's like, yeah, it's a very, I enjoy it, but it also has its problem in terms of just easy to knock and not get the focus right. So which ones are this? So yeah, these are still. So this is the Hektor. I think this is the 35. So this is the 35 one of the Hektor. Really nice. It's got a really nice bit of details. It's really sharp. But again, it's just you're gonna have to really time it. Also, it's really good at maintaining the flares. As you can see, there's lights in front, behind the dancer that's shooting straight to the lens. It's even when you open it up. I think if I scroll back to here, and you guys can see that yes, it flares up, but it's actually really, really well controlled flare. So, which is pretty awesome to have right there. Now, these guys are, as you guys probably know, are quite expensive lenses. I think they go for like $7,500 a pop per lens. So very interesting. Keep hearing people say the Vespid 2s are very similar to the Arles. If you were buying one Arles and two Vespid 2s, the focal lengths would you choose? So interesting percent. I haven't heard of, but it's the fact that you brought that up. That's a good chance. But I actually got a chance to try out the Arles as well. Let me cut back to Resolve real quick. So this shot right here. Oops, sorry. So this shot right here is with the Arles. So again, I didn't make any much of this, but so you can kind of see how it cuts. Personally, I think the Arles out of focus is a bit more. It's a bit softer than the Vespid 2s. So you can kind of sort of see the out of focus area, and then if we but overall, I've always loved I love the Arles. They've always been like they had this like dreamy quality. They remind me a lot of the Tokina Vista Primes. And this thing is heavy. It is quite heavy. So you want to see? So here, like I said, here are this is the Arles. So and now let's go to back to the Vespid 2s, and then this is so you can sort of see. Yeah, it's I'll just say the autofocus on the Vespid 2s are a little bit more busier. Um, and it's not as milky as the Arles, but I mean, look, the color space with them is you can definitely intercut with them very easily. The Arles are just a little bit more have more of that milky feel to it. Maybe it's just me, but again, have sort of the same subjects. We got the sort of the same subjects right here. Take a look. The Arles, I believe this Arles is this was the 50. I think this was the 50 that I got a chance to try. But you guys can sort of see how they cut in between each other. But yeah, so now if I was but for me to answer your question, what would I choose if I was to get if I was buying one Arles and two Vespids? If the Arles going to be my main, and if it's my main, it's going to be the 40. But I only say this is that because that 40 is my hero lens. So I've understand and came to the conclusion that the 40 millimeter is sort of like the focal length that speaks to me, but that may not necessarily be. So I guess the best way just to answer your question is that I would, whatever the Arles, I would say I would pick whatever lens focal length is sort of speaks to you, or your hero lens, make that the Arles, and then I would try to find a focal length that's half it, and then a focal length that's double it. So let's say 30. Let's just say 35. You say, hey, 35 is my hero lens. That's my favorite focal length. I would then choose something like a 17 or maybe an 18, 17, 18 range, and then I would get something like a 70 or a 75. Because I know DZO has 75s of the focal lengths, so probably like a 75 and then like the 18, if in that case. But again, it all depends on your focal length, and what your hero shot is, and then working a way around it. But hopefully that helps answer your question, Jess. King, and I think you were the one that was very much curious about those Hektors. So I'm still curious about the Hektors. Are you balling out for at least 3 of them? I'm not balling out at all, man. I'm buying any of those Hektors anytime soon. Quite frankly, I'm not necessarily knowing that I like them enough that I would go $7,500 in on them. Honestly, I would much rather get like Cooke SP3s, because the Cooke SP3s fit who I am as a filmmaker. So again, this is me, and I want to make this very clear. This is me. Like, I think it's important and sort of responsible for me to just point out this reminder that, this is an art form. And while I do have, I give my reasons for the decisions I make, at the end of the day, I am me, but you are not me, and I am not you. I'm only trying to hopefully help you try to find what your voice is, or sort of fit your style and fit who you are, and then sort of guide you to find a way to get that. But me personally, I prefer the Cooke SP3s over the Hektors. Just me personally. But again, as I said before, King, rent them before you buy. So that's my take on it. So what else Uh, I guess the only I did want to talk. I just want to just briefly talk. The only other really major two vendors I went to was Blackmagic, which I'll get to them in just a second. But I also went and saw GVM. They didn't really have anything. GVM didn't have anything new this year to be true, but I did. This time they did have their AIO. Oops, let's try this again. They did have their AIO 1200, which is like their of the all-in-one is their flagship of their all-in-one, but it's like an alternative to their main lineup, which is the Rain. Um, this thing is powerful. So this is something I captured on my Osmo Pocket. So this is the GVM 1200 AIO. So basically all in one. So all you have to do is plug in the battery. You're good. They shot it through the ceiling. This is at full power. Take a look at the output. This is the hall at the Jarvis Center, and this is the light that is, and this light is. Look at the output that this thing has. That is crazy. That is crazy amounts of power, and I just love what GVM is doing. I got to check out the zip tiles and things like that. Oh, and because I think last time I talked about this die, which is sort of like being my key, which is the air tube. I asked him about it, and I asked my contact about it, and he honestly at first he had no idea what I was talking about, and because it wasn't on the website or anything. So he found out, and apparently the GVM air modifier is basically an Amazon exclusive product. So they'll sell little bits of this over on Amazon, which right now, if I can find it, it's actually on sale right now. It's on sale right now on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. So it's on sale. It's like $60, and like I said, you get the modifier, you get you'll get this guy, the air pump. So and I'll leave a link right now if any of you guys are on there. I absolutely love this thing. If you saw me when I went in and talked about it, the main thing I love about this light, this tube modifier, is it kind of kills two birds with one stone. First and foremost, this essentially takes the power of the reflector dish, but then it puts it into this 4-foot tube, which creates this really nice wrap. But the second thing is that I absolutely love about it is because it sits sort of because the actual light sits off to the side, and you could just sort of basically throw this on here to just create the wrap. Because of that, if you have a subject that has glasses, you could sit this up and throw it at them. And one of the biggest problems I have when I have like a big dome diffusion softbox is that it typically always gets caught in the reflection of the glasses. But because this is sitting up this is off to the side and it's up, it actually doesn't cast unless the subject is like looking up and looking directly at it. It's very hard to get the reflection of the light into glasses. So that is one of the cool reasons why I love this modifier, and I'm using it with the Aperture Storm 400X right now. This is, like I said, this is a great 1-2 combo, and it's like $60. So definitely check it out. There's only like 8 of them right now, and basically it's an Amazon only purchase. So, but anyways, so yeah, saw GVM, and then also that 1200. For anybody that's, again, don't buy anything if you don't necessarily is. But I also want to know if there's deals going on. I would like to let you guys know. I was told that they got a few more of those in, and there's a deal, and there's sort of a big sale going on for that 1200. the 1200 AIO, which, by the way, the 1200 AIO still has DMX control. It has an IP65 rating. It does come with a case, which also, by the way, if you guys saw my GVM review, my review of the GVM SD500B, they actually, one of my big gripes was that it doesn't come with a case. Well, they actually sell the case now. They sell like the case separately on their website. You can go check it out. But right now the 1200 AIO is going for $1,500 on their website. If you want to go check it out, I'll probably leave it in the chat as well if you guys are interested. If not, like just don't worry about it. I'm not gonna bombard you, but it's there. And if you actually do go to the GVM website, they actually gave me a discount, so a coupon that you could apply on purchases, so you can get additional discount on it. So something to just check out. But GVM is doing a lot of cool things there. Again, outside of that, it's really just Blackmagic Design. Blackmagic Design was the main reason why I went to NAB New York. Fortunately, the Pixus 12K was not there. That was the one I really wanted to get my hands on. The Pixus 12K but it was not there. I'm guessing they're just making sure everybody got their products first before they wanted to just hold it up. So they're going through back orders. But you'll see in a video that's coming out to the channel relatively soon. I did a sit-down interview with Bob, who's one of the head product managers there, and we covered a lot of grounds on the sit-down that I had with him. So that will be coming out soon. But a couple of things that I did ask him about just a little tease for you guys for this video. So that's going to be coming out. So we ended up discussing the autofocus. Briefly, I asked him a question about the autofocus and sort of the progress of that. He told me that right now they're sort of getting all the feedback. They're gathering all the feedback that people gave in terms of the betas of the autofocus, and sort of right now they're working on getting out, I guess, a completed version of the autofocus. And then once so there's that. They are still planning, and he said they're still planning to put that face detection autofocus into any camera that they could possibly put in their camera line system. So that's one. The other thing was ProRes. I asked him a lot about was ProRes RAW, and basically right now, obviously, right now, ProRes RAW is now supporting DaVinci Resolve, and you can actually shoot ProRes RAW on the Pocket 4K as well. I asked him about, because I remember hearing that there was a report that ProRes RAW is coming to the Video Assist, and he did confirm that, yes, it's coming to the Video Assist 12G HDRs. And for any current cameras that, I think right now what they're working on is they're trying to work in it to where they can support every single camera that already has that ProRes RAW support. They're making sure they're having all of that data there. So that's why it's just taking a little longer. They want to make sure that every camera right now that can currently support external ProRes RAW will be able to be supported with the Video Assist. And then I did ask him, is there any plans to install ProRes RAW on any of the current gen cameras? And he essentially said, if we can put ProRes RAW into the camera, we're going to do our best to put it in there. So again, I'm not saying the Pixus 12K or the Ursa Cine or the Cinema Camera 6K full frame is going to get ProRes RAW, but he did tell me they're looking at all the cameras that they could possibly put ProRes RAW in. They started out with the Pocket 4K, but they are looking to put to provide ProRes RAW into their cameras. But it's obviously going to take a while. And then also with ProRes RAW, I asked them if there was any updates with the FX3, because obviously the FX3 already has the the Blackmagic RAW support. We're just waiting. They said, and basically said they're still working on it. It should be coming soon. So, and then I asked him about where does he see the future of Blackmagic, and I'm gonna hold off on what he told me in regards to that. I'm gonna save that for the video when that finally comes out. So, keep an eye out. So keep an eye out if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and keep an eye out. That interview, it was a really nice conversation. And we covered a lot of things. We talked about the new iPhone 17 basically platform product that they built. We talked about that. We talked about ProRes RAW. We talked about the Pixis 12K. We talked about where do they see themselves going. So all that. So keep an eye out for that. Now let's. I'm gonna see what the questions you guys have here. All right. Yes, it'll be a few years before we see a autofocus in a Pixis. I feel might as well pick up a Sony in the meantime. Yeah, look. I've said this a few times, and I've talked about this a bit, but if you're needing a certain feature, I would, if there's a camera that can provide the feature that you need, and the key word being need, just get the feature right now. At the end of the day, you shouldn't wait to when another camera comes out. Like, oh my God, what if I get an FX6 and then the FX6 Mark II comes out? So what? Productions are not going to stop having FX6s on their shoots. You'll be fine. But at the end of the day, if there's something that a camera can have that you need right now, get that camera. So Jess, I totally 100% agree with you. Like, yeah, get a Sony or a Canon, because Canon has great autofocus too. Get a Sony or a Canon. If autofocus is really that critical to you and you need autofocus in your work right now, get a camera with good autofocus. I want to see a BMVA update with the screen from the Pixis monitor and CF Express. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, man. I am surprised that Blackmagic has not created a new video assist product. Like, I've been talking about and failing miserably. I've been horrible with my predictions on a video assist, because I keep saying, oh, they're going to announce a video assist. They're going to announce it, because you're absolutely right. Like, the design and the layout of the 12G video assist, like, again, having that B-RAW support to all these different cameras is awesome. But man, the workflow of trying to make that work is a bit annoying. And yes, I agree. I would love to see a better screen, something with a better screen with CF Express cards to get this up to date. I thought they would do this by now, but clearly but hey, it was like, do you want a new video assist monitor with CF Express, or do you want a do you want the Pixis 12K and the Ursa Cine 12K and the Ursa 17K? I understand why priorities went one way instead of the other. Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I've got a video assist right here. I'm just waiting for them to update the support and then get ready to run. So yeah, I'm with you. Jess. Just waiting for it right then and there. And I think I'm pretty much caught up all the comments. So I'll leave this open for like another couple minutes for any final questions or any things that you guys want to talk about. And then otherwise, I'm going to just go ahead and wrap things up and hit in the stream and try to enjoy the rest of my night. So anybody watch NBA? I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy the NBA is finally back and basketball is finally back. Basketball is my favorite sport. You know, I know I'm in Philly, so obviously it's Eagles Town, it's Eaglesville. all day, every day, and I'm not even an Eagles fan at all. So I understand football reigns supreme here, but bats for me is basketball, and I'm so happy it's back. Um, just the first two nights of opening nights were awesome. That Houston OKC game was awesome, and then oh my gosh, Wimby. Oh my God. Um, I've 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 talked about it with my friends. I've been saying, yo, San Antonio is a real sleeper, and because I've been following their offseason for a bit after since the post the draft and free agency. San Antonio has got a squad, and I think I think Wimby and the Spurs really put everybody on notice that we're not just a team that's going to just be uh, a lottery pick. They are here to be serious, especially Wimby. Uh, some of the things I've seen from him is for a while. Wimby or Giannis? Okay, I guess. Well, it has to be current Giannis. I've loved Giannis's career, but I'll be honest, I'm going Wimby. I will go Wimby. Um, the main thing with Wimby to me, it's not there's a talent thing, but honestly, it's not even the talent with Wimby for me. It's his mentality. It is his mentality that impresses me so much about him. Um, I've heard him talk about how the situation with the blood clots that he had, that it really put perspective in life and everything. And so he's like, I I'm going to take every single season like I don't know how long I'm going to play, and he's taking every one of the seasons seriously. And he's a sponge. He's willing to learn everything. And he also is just he doesn't. It's not an egotistic uh understanding of his skills. It's more like a I know how gifted I am, and I know that I need to make sure I take advantage of these gifts. It's just I know some. I don't know anybody. I'm pretty sure there's a few Kobe fans in the chat. Um, this may sound blasphemous. I'm about to get myself in trouble for sports fans, but Wimby's the first player I've actually seen that I would put in Kobe's Mamba mentality. Like just the way he sees the game, the way he not only sees the game, but his respect for the game, but also the respect of how the effort it takes to go the distance you want to go. There's not a lot of there's a lot of great, talented, and awesome players, but there's very few. And again, he's the first that I've seen since Kobe that has that sort of mentality. Um, and he's willing to be a killer for it. So if it's between Giannis and so your answer between Giannis and Wimby, for me, it's Wimby. Um, yeah. Did it did I miss you talking about the Blackmagic Tease already? Yes. Actually, yes, I did. So yeah, I already went sort of going over the interview. Again, the full interview will be out. Give me a couple days, but I'll have that out as soon as I can. Just need to go in and put in the edits. But so, or you can recap, check and look at the license. But the quick notes is that we talked a lot about ProRes RAW, and then we talked about some of the features and sort of where Blackmagic is thinking about introducing some of these new stuff into their lineups. So that's the main thing that I sort of teased about. Mainly of it is a lot of it to do with ProRes RAW. So, but like I said, Joey, the the actual interview will come out in a couple days. So just keep your eye out for it. And I think that's going to be about it. We're just around the hour time, so I'll go ahead and wrap this stream up because I don't see any other questions coming in. But I have a question that I guess you guys can leave it in the comments or leave it in the comment section. But because I would love to do like talk NBA, talk basketball, talk NBA. If that was something that you guys were into, just to have something that's just different than just me just talking like on cameras and stuff. Because it'll be something to just talk about and just to have some fun with it. But yeah, thank you guys for talking to me. Oh, we got one more. All right. Please tell me the rumor, the 6K City rumor is true, and they will do a Pixis 17K. Okay, let me just go ahead. I don't know anything about a Pixis 17K. I have nothing to say about that rumor. So, and if anybody that knows Blackmagic also knows they keep things very, very close to the chest. So I will also go ahead and just say I have no knowledge about a Pixis 17K. Thank you guys for joining me for this live stream. Hopefully to see you guys next week. Check me out every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And if you guys aren't a subscriber, definitely hit subscribe. Also, hit those hype buttons if you can use the hype my video, hype the video so more people can check out the channel. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care, everyone.